Good morning, Michael Yoke and Mr. Excellence here in a beautiful morning, little overcast here in the beautiful city of Downey, streaming along to all my people that listen out there, all my fans. Good morning. I'm approaching in May my 42nd year in real estate. Whoever thought that people would be in the business this long? When the real estate industry, when I came in, it was very, there wasn't a surge at the beginning of agents, and you know what? I got into that gold rush where they wanted to come into the business, but nobody taught us anything. We just got our license and we had to go out there and make it up. I think Mike Ferry was barely trying to get, getting those classes going. I remember going to the Holiday Inn in Costa Mesa where he had a like 17, 18 people turn out in there one time. And everybody has to start somewhere. You gotta start somewhere. And when you start somewhere, you grow this great organization that you start on that. And I seen a lot of people. There was a guy that was the top trainer, Tommy Hopkins at the time, on that. And you know what? People have to have a starting point. What is your starting point? Where did you start? First of all, what got you into the real estate business? What got you into the real estate business for you to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to get into the business. Something triggered it, and you can go ahead and put it there and we can talk about it. What made you get into real estate? Sometimes people, you're born into it. You're born into it. Your dad's already in the business, and guess what? You get inspired and you get into the business. Sometimes somebody, I hear a lot of stories. I didn't like the way my parents bought their house and they were represented. So guess what? I decided to get my license so that way I can be a little bit different on that. Everybody has a way. And I like to know, what was your inspiration? What is it that triggered the light? What triggered the light for you to get into real estate? Now, a lot of us, good morning, Lucia, Martin Mendez, Chris Alaya, how are you guys? A lot of times I saw a lot of people that, getting into real estate doesn't mean that you're going to do real estate sales. See, because we don't know our personality. So there's four personalities out there. There's the amiable, there's the expressive, there's the driver, and then there's the analytical. I didn't know what an analytical was, and I know that analytical people are good in math. They do calculus, all that stuff, algebra on that. And since I wasn't analytical, I didn't know that I wasn't going to do good in those classes. D- in introduction to algebra. Introduction, just we're going to introduce you, and I got a D- in high school on that. But I knew basic math, how to count dollars, how to, 1 plus 1, a little subtraction out there. I got an A+ on that. But see, at that time, I didn't know what I didn't know. And now we're in real estate. We get into real estate, and I seen people come in, get their real estate license, and guess what? They branch off to become loan officers, because once they got into the real estate field, they found out that their analytical side was a little bit stronger, so they ended up being sales loan companies. I had other people like Mr. Salaya who went into the title business, being a title rep. It's sales also. You got home protection, you have, HD, you have a lot of little branches going into escrow, becoming an escrow officer. Martin Mendez says, I had an ice cream truck when I was in high school. Okay, míralo. Art Lewin, buenos dias, Mr. Lewin, on that. Good morning, Lucia. Good morning, everyone. We're talking about not knowing that we don't know, you know. So you know what? Let's see here. Art Lewin, I saw that you wanted to come in into, and I didn't click it. Do it again, and let me go ahead and hit this thing. So think about it. If you don't go ahead and get it started, and we don't know what we're at, then guess what? We don't know how good we're going to be. And if you're going to be in sales, you don't know what part of sales you're going to be. You could be a great assistant, you could be a great leader, you could be whichever, but you got to get started. And I always tell the people, go ahead and get your license, because you know what? Even if you don't make it, but it may lead to something. I've seen people come in and become investors, and guess what? Developers have become, and that came in as agents that don't sell real estate anymore. Now they're flippers. Now they're developing. Now they found their niche. And you know what? Every niche is good. But you gotta do an abundance of work to go ahead and let it grow. Everything. I see title reps making a lot of money. I see real estate agents making a lot of money, loan officers, escrow people, a lot of people. The money is awesome in this thing you call real estate, but you know what? As you're growing up, you don't know who you are. And if you're younger, like me at the time, excuse me. Thank you very much. You don't know who you are until we grow up, and then we find out that, oh my gosh, I was always a driver. I was always an expressive. I was always an amiable. I was always an analytical. And all of a sudden, you're there, selling real estate, and you didn't know why you're doing so good. Because you know what? I know when I talk to an analytical person, when I'm talking real estate and I'm trying to recruit somebody as an analytical, they want to see numbers. They want to see, you know what? If you're analytical, who's analytical here? Raise your hand if you're analytical. And the way you talk to an analytical is to say, you're going to get into real estate. You're going to set up a system. You're going to go ahead and put this. This is going to be your ROI, These are the numbers. You got to keep tab. You got to keep going, this, and that. And talk to them about facts. And then there's somebody like me, if they're interviewing, and, hey, Mike, you can come in and you can make it big, and you're going to be the best, and you're going to go out there and this and that. Yeah, sign me up. I'm in. I want all that stuff. With nothing, no foundation under it. And sometimes, when you talk to somebody like that and they react like that, and then they find out that, hey, they're a driver, I just want to get to the point. Cut to the chase. Cut to the chase and tell me what I got to do. I got to do 100 doors a day? Okay, great. I'm going to go out there and do it. An analytical, you got to see if you do 100 doors, because you're going to have to play the numbers, You know who makes great analytical people? They make great tax people. They're tax people. They like numbers. They like, mastering the facts and all that. And they're very good. They're all very good. All the 4 ways of being are very good. You just have to go ahead and realize who you are, because who you are will take you, it'll navigate you to that, that place that you want to be, feel comfortable, that you can be a successful person on that. So all of a sudden, again, find out who you are. Let me find out if get the things of the 4 people that you are, personalities, and maybe on the next show I can do that, so that way we can go ahead and see who we are. But you know what? Nobody teaches us that in high school. Nobody does, because, everybody, they're selling you on the fact that, hey, you know what, if you don't go to college, you're not going to get anywhere. And, to me, I was at a dead end zone saying, hey, you know what, I'm not going to be anybody if I don't go to college. I'm at Jack in the Box. All I have on my back pocket is what Mr. Huffer said, that my personality would take me to be the best that I can be, and that's all I had. And that was the drive that took me, and that was the drive. Mr. Martin Mendez, he knows that he's an amiable, very good. Amiable is a very unique personality on that, and congratulations on that. I think I'm a little bit. If you guys know that, what am I? Am I? I think sometimes I feel I'm a driver. Sometimes I feel I'm very expressive because I use my hands. I'm very expressive out there. And I'm also an analytical because I like to do income taxes. I like to work numbers with that. Amiable is not my personality. That I do know. But I'm very strong on the other three on that. And you know what? That's who I am. But I didn't know who I was on that. And guess what? Now I know. So think about it. We go into this thing called real estate. Martins Mendez is very expressive. Yeah, that's I'm an expressive guy. Yes, you're absolutely right on that. So think about that. And then we don't understand why we can't communicate. Can you imagine when you get married and you get married with looks? I like her. She's a good-looking girl. He's a very handsome guy. We get married, but we don't know the way our spouses are. That that we clash. We clash. As you get older, you start clashing, saying, "Well, how come this marriage is going south?" Because we don't know what type of person our spouse is. And that's the same thing about real estate, that if in real estate you don't go ahead and know who you are, or you understand who you're talking to, it's going to be very, very tough on that. You're going to say business is not for me on that. And it is. Real estate is for everybody. Everybody. It's just the angle that you got to go ahead and hit. And I'll start getting some information so we can start talking about that. So we can try to bring the best out of you guys, so that way you can go ahead and be the best that you can be on that. Mr. Robert Carrillo, good morning. My advice, have a wonderful day. You know what? Yesterday I had an appointment with Mr. Robert Carrillo, but I got stuck in court, and I couldn't get out on that. Also, Mr. Josue Ramon says Mr. Excellence is the best. You know what? I try to be the best. I try to put the best of me out there, so that way it can transpire in your personality, so that way you can be the best that you can do. And that's all I can do. Martin says, my wife Irma is a driver. Oh my gosh, you're with an amiable, you guys, she's the leader, in other words. She leads. If she's a driver, you lead and you just maneuver her where to go to. And that'll work out pretty good. So think about this. If I talk to somebody about go out and hit doors, the driver will go ahead and do it. The analytical wants to see, well, why am I knocking on doors? Because you know what? There's people that are thinking of buying. There's people that are thinking of selling. There's people that the house is too small, it's too big. There's a relocation. They went ahead and inherit some property, And if you go and you work the numbers and you do 100, you do 200, you might go ahead and bump into them, and they like to hear that. Okay, yeah, this is great. I got to go out there and do that. But if you just tell them, go out and hit some doors so you can get some business, they're not going to move. You're going to say, I said, go out and hit some doors, and they're going to say, I don't want to go, because that's, you got to go ahead and have those behind it to be able to talk to the people on that. But real estate is a fun thing. It's a great game. A lot of us will come in and we'll live our commission to commission. We'll get old. Eventually we'll retire. And guess what? It'll be a whole new breed of people coming in on that. I've been around a long time, and I've seen the power, that switches. And, when I came in the 80s, these were the top brokers in the area. The 90s, these were the top brokers. 2000, 2015, and now today we have the power brokers. And I've been able to go in as a regular agent, work my way up on that, and be in a position of leadership in the 90s. And I went through the 90s, 2015 and above, and now I'm going almost 40 years in here in 2020s and all that. And you know what? And I've seen everything. Mr. Amado says, great substance. That is why you can share your wine. I can help on that. So thank you, Mr. Amado, on that. So we just talked here. We spent a good 20 minutes talking about what we're going to do. We're just going to get the show better and better and better, so that way we can move mountains out there and be able to be the best that we can be. The market is good right now. The market is great. The rates are a little high, but people are buying houses. People are buying houses right now. I hear a lot of people talking about, Mike, you know what? I can't seem to find the right house. We go and we make an offer, we lost it. And those are, the lower the price, the more multiple offers are. As it gets higher, it's less. But when those rates come down, it'll go ahead and get higher, and the market's going to boom. But it's going to boom only for the ones that get the offers accepted. Remember, 42 years, 42 very different markets that you got to adapt to. And right now, we're in a transition where there'll be multiple offers again. The property sold for $10,000 more above, $20,000 above. Right now, people are saying, just get me an offer. And they're not coming in. But the switch is coming. You just got to be ready. You got to be running. Like the gazelle and the lion. A lion wakes up in Africa every morning and says, you know what, I got to run faster than the slowest gazelle or a deer or whatever, so that way I can eat or I'm going to starve. A gazelle wakes up every morning in Africa and says, I got to run faster than the fastest lion or they're going to eat me up on that. And you know what? And what happens is this, whether you're a lion or you're a gazelle in Africa, when the sun comes up, you better start running, otherwise you're going to be somebody's food. And that's the way life is. The rich get richer, the poor struggle, the middle class is there on that. And we got to go ahead and make those adjustments to be the best that we can be. So go out there and make it happen. It's a great Thursday morning today. 100 doors a day or 100 contacts or 100 views a day will keep the creditors away. Mr. Excellence says go out there and do it.